Hello, everyone. Welcome to ICT Revision Notes. This is JCS, IG, and A-level tutorials. All right. In this video, we're going to look at types and components of a computer system. Right. So this mainly for the IGCSE-ICT theory paper. And so let's get started. Right. Now, in this chapter, we aim to revisit or revise hardware, software, the main component of a computer system. We're looking at operating systems, types of computers, and emerging technologies. This note is really summarized to help you ace your ICT theory. And so please make sure you pay key attention. Do what to hit the subscription button if you like this video and want me to do some more videos. Just hit the subscription button so I know I have to do other videos. Especially just tell me the areas you are more interested in the comment section, and I'll do what to deliver on that. All right, so without much ado, let's go on to hardware. Now, hardware are just a physical part of a computer system that you can touch. Okay. So if you open a computer, you can equally touch some parts within the open computer, right? So those parts that we can touch are referred to as the internal component of the computer. And a good example is the motherboard, the RAM, the CPU, graphic card, sound card, the internal storage device, and we have the network interface card. These are just a few of them, right? Now, the internal hardware, we have the motherboard, which is a circuit board that acts as a central hub. In other words, it holds all the other parts, components that makes up the computer system, right? Now, the central processing unit is the brain of the computer. And we have the RAM, also known as the random access memory. Also, programs temporary. Okay, as you're working on a computer, the RAM is the one that is responsible for storing the informations or the data that you are working on until you finally decide to save it onto an decide to finally save it onto an internal hard drive. All right. So the internal hard drive is referred to as the internal storage. We have the hard disk drive or the SSD, right? All right. Now, the internal hard drive permanently stores all the information that you want to save, okay, for future use. Now, we also have the graphic cards, the sound card, and the network interface card. The graphic card is what gives us the visual displays that we have on our computers and enable us to watch videos in great quality. The sound card makes us to play sound and hear sound. Is that okay? And then we have the network interface card that allows you to browse and interact with the network. Now, we also have the external hardware, right? So the external hardware comprise of the input, output, and the peripheral, or also referred to as the extra, okay? Now, the input devices that we commonly use are the keyboard, mouse, scanner, webcam, the microphone, or the touch screen on our laptops or, tablets. We also have the output device, which is the monitor, printer, and speakers. Output because they bring out something. So monitor lets you see something. The printer brings out the printed version of the soft version that you have on your screen. And then the speaker allows you to hear whatever is happening on your device. Then we also have an external storage device or webcam. And this only add up to the computer to make it a bit bulky or useful, right? Now, there are some examples of the internal hardware that I've mentioned earlier. We have the CPU, motherboard. So these are just graphic display or pictures of the some types of internal hardware. Then we also have some examples here, which is the keyboard. We have the webcam, some mouse, and then the scanner. I believe at this point we can take a short quiz to test our understanding on the what we've just done. I mean, that's basically everything you need to know under hardware. Okay, so let's take a short quiz to see if we really understand what we have done. So here we go. All right, so let's put this here, a quick one. So the first question says that identify the hardware from the description given. So a volatile internal memory that stores the current instruction. So we just spoke about one internal hardware that stores instructions temporarily. Are you able to remember the name? So take a few minutes and then fill in the answer. The next one says that a printed circuit board containing the CPU and other components of a computer. So what do you think would be a printed circuit board? We mentioned this earlier on, if you remember. And then we have a printed circuit board that controls the output of a monitor. So whatever comes out of the monitor, what allows us to see the images on the monitor. Then the final one here says that a printed circuit board that is installed in a computer so that the computer can be connected to a network. So 1, 2, 3, 4. I guess you are done. This is a past question. Actually, I just picked the question 2 of 2023. Yeah. So this is a past paper, right? And you notice this, the first answer should be RAM. Okay. The second one here, a circuit board printed. So that should be the motherboard. The next one say a printed circuit board that controls the output. So that's a graphic card. And then the last one here is the network interface card. I believe you got all right. Yeah. So if you did, let's move on to the next part of our notes, which is software. All right. So under software are set of instructions that tell the computer how to the system software and then the application software. Now, the application software are basically the software that allows you to, design programs or, the basic software that you use on your computer, the ones you use for playing games, doing calculation, writing essays, database. Okay, so these are basically the applications that you use. So in this example, when you are asked to answer questions on this, you don't mention, for example, word processor. You don't mention Microsoft Office. That's an example of a word processing software. Okay, then spreadsheets. I mean, an example will be Excel. Spreadsheet will be Excel. Then we have database management tools or software. Then we have control and measurement software. And then we have other apps, the apps that you have in your computers, video editing software, graphic editing software, audio editing software, and then again we have the computer aided design. These are all types of application software. Then we have the system software. Now, the system software is designed to provide a platform on which all the application softwares run. Okay, and we have compilers, linkers, device drivers, and operating systems. Right. Then we also have utilities. So on to the next point. Now, still under system software, we have the operating system, and we've mentioned that they manage the computer hardware and software. So it provides a platform for other software to run, basically. So other software as the word processing software, the apps, the graphic editing software, the audio editing software, they need a platform to work, and the platform they need to work is referred to as a operating system, right? Then we have device drivers. Now, these are programs that allow the operating system to communicate with specific hardware. So, for example, if you have a printer and you want the printer to communicate with your machine, Then you should install a printer drive that will allow the operating system to send message on the instruction to a printer. So in other words, any device, any external device you connect to your computer, there are these device drivers that needs to be programmed or installed in order for your computer to communicate with those devices. Then we have compilers. They are basically software that translate software code into machine codes, okay, for computers to run. Then we have linkers. They combined multiple objects, okay. In other words, they compile the work that the compiler has done. The linkers put them together for, a single execution to be done. Then we have the utility software. Now, the utility softwares that we have here assist us with performing tasks like, file maintenance, okay, compressions of files, and then software installation and removal. So if you have any software that you want to install or remove, okay, is a utility software that takes care of that. And then we have virus, antiviruses or virus scanning software as well. They all fall under the utility software. That brings us to the end of software. Now we want to talk about analog and digital data. Now, digital data, in short, is data that is processed in binary format, or they represent zeros and ones. They are discrete, okay? And then we have the analog data. They are data that are continuous and smooth, okay, representing physical quantities like sound or temperature. Is that okay? So when sending an analog data to a computer, computers are not able to understand the human language, okay? So it requires that you convert this data into one that the computer understands. So you need an analog to digital converter. So the analog data that is taken needs to be converted into a digital format that is the zeros and ones in order for the computer to understand. And in the same way, if the computer wants to give out some information to us, it needs to convert it from a digital to an analog form. And so it uses a digital to analog. So you are able to understand what the computer is saying. Instead of representing the output as zeros and ones, it does that as in a form that you are able to understand. So this is just some two graphs to represent what we mean by a smooth flow. So analog, you can see that this is a wave-like movement. The sounds that we give out are in the form of waves, okay? Whilst computers do more of zeros, 1, 1, 0, 0, 1. That's it. So that is it for analog and digital. Now we're looking at the main component of the computer system. So whenever you talk about the main component of the computer system, think about this diagram. Okay, we have the input devices, okay, and then these input devices communicate with the central processing unit. Okay, that's the brain of the computer, which sits on the motherboard. And whenever you have anything that you want to store, it first of all needs to be in the RAM, okay, and then finally push down to a secondary storage device if you want to take it outside, or it keeps it within the computer's internal memory, which is the SSD or the HDD if you have one, okay. So every computer actually has one, right? So anything that you interact with the computer goes straight into the brain, through the brain, and then it displays whatever you want to see. Okay, so input, it process, then it displays. So for example, if I type 1 on the computer, it needs to be processed by the CPU and it's being displayed on the screen. Now this takes, very few seconds to work. So it seems as if nothing has happened, but in actual sense, there's a lot of working going on behind the scene. Then anything that is stored on an external storage can also be retrieved onto the computer and then you can use it. So basically, these are the main components of the computer system. Now, just to come through again with all the main ones, we have the input device. That's the first one I mentioned. So the input devices allows you to interact with the computer. The processor, which is the brain of the computer, execute every instruction that you put virtually into the computer. And then you have the internal memory that is able to, store whatever that you have put into the computer. Okay. So now again, when we talk about the internal memory, there are two main types. We've spoken about the RAM, yeah. So now we want to talk about the ROM. Okay. So there are two main types, the ROM and then the RAM. ROM, I think we'll look at those details in the next slide. So I wouldn't touch much on this here. So backend or secondary storage, I've touched on that already. These are portable devices that allow us to save our work for later use. Okay. Then the output devices such as the monitor, the screen, the printer, the speakers allows you to view whatever you need to view. Then we have the internal memory and backend storage. Okay. So here we're going to talk into detail about the RAM and then the ROM. Okay. So the RAM is volatile, whilst the ROM is non-volatile. What it simply means is that when power goes out, the information on the RAM will not be saved, whilst on the ROM it is temporal. Nothing will be lost. Again, RAM is read and write. In other words, you can put things there and take them out, whilst the RAM, you only read information from there. And then you can also store data files and then part of operating system on the RAM. Whilst you can do this on the ROM, the ROM only stores the BIOS, that is the basic input and output that you need for the computer to start. All right. So the next one is types of operating systems, and we are almost done with chapter 1. Can you imagine? All right. So operating systems, we know that the operating systems are software that facilitates a computer's operation and user interaction. The operating system manage basically the input and output and storage devices and regulate data flow. They also supervise the loading, execution, and storage of applications. They handle errors in real time, ensure system security, log in computer events, and then facilitate communication between the computer and its users. So basically, those are the functionalities of the operating system. Now we have types of user interfaces, two main types. We have the graphic user interface, and then we have the command line. The graphic user interface is the ones that we mainly use every day, which can be remembered by the Windows icon, mouse, and pointers. So WIMPs, right? So WIMP, WIMPs. That's just how to remember for graphic user interface. Then we have the command line, which needs hard code that they have test based. So for you to be able to do anything on a command line or a test based machine, then you need to know the codes very well. Is that okay? So here we're looking at some benefits and drawbacks of the two. So the graphic user interface is more friendly, it's user friendly compared to the command line. Okay, so command line, you need to know a lot of codes, in order to operate with a computer, right? Then again, on the other hand, command line interface is faster. If you know the codes, it's much faster, right, to use. So those are some benefits and disadvantages of the user interface. Now we're looking at types of computers. The main types of computers we have are the desktop, laptops, tablets, smartphones. Okay. And in this case, if you're asked to talk about the advantages and disadvantages of them, in terms of screen size, um, you can do a comparative analysis of all the four, and you notice that the smartphone is the smallest. Okay. And then in terms of keyboard size and how portable it is, or how easy it is to do any kind of work, you would have to do the comparison based on the size of the keyboard, the screen. Okay. And this will help you to um, answer any advantages and disadvantages on this type of um, questions. All right. Now, emerging technologies, that's the last one. Emerging technologies that we talk about is in our textbook is artificial intelligence. Okay. So involve basic ones that we know of are robots that are being used. A good example will be Sophia. And then the another one we can talk about is ChatGPT. Okay. And then the other AIs that we have around. Some benefits. Um, enhancement in safety and quality. Okay. And then the accelerates the way things are done. Advancement in autonomous vehicles, right? So if we look at some vehicles that are self-driven, a good example will be Waymo, okay? Tesla is also there. So these are just examples of AI. So machines that are programmed to behave or reason like humans, right? Then we have some drawbacks. So potential job displacement. So because of AI, a lot of people have lost their jobs. You know, so in the past, we have people who sit at call centers, receive call and transmit calls to people. But now we don't have that. Everyone has phones all around. Okay, and then you have machine replacing people in factory. Machines don't get tired when they work. Okay, and then they are reliable, or AI are reliable. Okay, and then some concerns about machines upsurging human roles, but that's quite debatable, though, right? And then we have the virtual reality. Um, so in this case, when you are immersed, I mean, in some artificial world through VR headset, okay, so that your physical environment is replaced with a virtual one and make you have a feel of what is happening. Now, we also have extended reality, which is a combination of the virtual and the real, augmented in some cases. Yeah, augmented. So in this case here, you have a virtual world, and then you have the augmented. The augmented doesn't take away your vision as compared to the virtual reality. Okay, so augmented reality enhances the real world by overlaying digital content onto it. So some people can use their smartphones, tablets, or AI glasses to, have some great interaction. So, for example, the brain, open up just by, flipping your hands around it, right? Then we have some advantages and disadvantages. Some differences among the two. So here we can look at some differences among the two: augmented reality and the virtual reality. So here, as I mentioned earlier, the within the augmented, the user is not isolated from the real world, but still can interact with it. But with the virtual, you are immersed in a virtual world, right? The augmented, on the other hand, exists in real world with virtual objects overlaid. On the other hand, the virtual reality completely takes you away. Then we have some special goggles or smart glasses that can be used to um, have an experience with um, the virtual world using the AR or VR. Last on the emerging technologies, we have robots. Robots are used for welding, assembly components, painting, spraying, moving and packing, they're vacuuming. So We have washing floors, vacuuming and washing floors, mowing grasses in houses. Then we have some advantages of using robots. So they can operate for 24 hours. They don't get tired. So that brings us to the end. So these are some references that I use as far as this note is concerned. So they are the two main ICT textbooks that are available for me to use. So that brings us to the end of this tutorial. So if you are interested, if you found it useful, just subscribe, and in the comment section, let me know which other video I can upload. Right. Thank you. Bye bye.